I'm Annette, 39. Standing here in my glamorous red gown, a glass of champagne in hand, I watched my brother, Lucas, and father, Henry, announce my replacement as the CEO of our family business, Oakwood Furniture. They were all smiles for the cameras, while I stood there, feeling as if I'd been struck by lightning. Little did they know that I'd uncovered their scheme months ago. If you've ever felt the searing pain of betrayal from your own kin, you might understand the cold determination that replaced my initial heart-wrenching sorrow. Let me take you back to how it all started. The Oakwood name was well known in the furniture industry long before I was born. My grandfather, Oscar, founded Oakwood Furniture back in 1950. With just his carpentry skills and a burning passion, he built a business that was once the pride of our town. I was the apple of my father's eye in my early days. Even as a young girl of 10, I would tag along with my father as he toured the factory. He'd always tell people around, "Annette has a knack for business. She notices things others miss. She'll take Oakwood to new heights." Those words became the cornerstone of my identity. While my peers were into fashion and parties, I was engrossed in quarterly reports and supply chain puzzles that my father would simplify for me as fun challenges. My younger brother, Lucas, 3 years younger than me, never showed any real interest in the family business. He spent his days hanging out with friends, not really caring about the legacy our grandfather had built. My father, though, was always lenient with him. "Boys will be boys," he'd say. "Lucas will find his way." Our mother, Grace, was the voice of reason in our family. She encouraged me to pursue my passion for business, while also reminding me to enjoy my childhood. She was the one who kept our family together. But when I was 24 and Lucas was 21, cancer took her away from us. After that, the family dynamic changed completely. My father and Lucas grew closer, and I often felt like an outsider. I was determined to make something of myself. I worked hard and earned my MBA from Stanford, graduating at the top of my class. I landed a job at a top-tier consulting firm, McKinley Company. My father was incredibly proud, but never pressured me to join the family business. "Gain some real-world experience first," he advised. "Oakwood will be here when you're ready." For 3 years, I thrived in the high-pressure consulting world. I honed my skills and built a valuable network. Meanwhile, Oakwood Furniture started to decline. My father, in his late 50s, struggled to adapt to the changing market. Lucas, who had finally joined the company after changing his college majors multiple times, did little more than collect his paycheck. Then, one fateful day, I got a call that changed everything. My father had a severe heart attack at the office. I rushed home immediately, taking an indefinite leave from McKinley. What I found was shocking. The company was on the verge of bankruptcy. We were months behind on payments to suppliers, sales had dropped by 40% over 2 years, and the bank was threatening to call in loans. Looking at my father in the hospital bed, his once strong presence now diminished, I made a decision. I wasn't planning to join the family business yet, especially under these circumstances. But I couldn't let my grandfather's legacy crumble. "I'll step in temporarily," I told my father. "Just until you're back on your feet." Little did I know that temporarily would turn into 12 long years. Taking over the company was like trying to stop a speeding train. The company was losing money rapidly, key employees were looking for new jobs, and our showroom looked outdated. The old guard in the company was resistant to change. Our production manager, George, who had worked with my grandfather, crossed his arms and said, "Miss Annette, we've been making furniture the same way for decades. Your fancy degree won't change what works." I showed him the financial reports and retorted, "Does this look like it's working to you, George?" The first year was a living hell. I worked 16-hour days, often sleeping on the couch in my office. My fiancé, Ethan, grew frustrated with my constant absences. "It's always the business first with you, isn't it?" he asked after I missed his birthday dinner because of a major client issue. I assured him it was temporary, but our engagement ended 6 months later. He wasn't wrong. The business had consumed me. Meanwhile, Lucas maintained his executive title and salary while rarely showing up at the office. When he did, It was just to charm clients or have long lunches with my father's old friends. He had the Oakwood name and charm, but no real commitment. With my personal life in shambles, I poured all my energy into saving the company. I made bold changes, like switching to sustainable materials before it was trendy, modernizing our designs, and investing in digital marketing when our competitors were still relying on print catalogs. The turning point came when I secured a partnership with Horizon Home, a fast, growing national retailer. I spent weeks crafting a pitch that highlighted our traditional craftsmanship and new sustainable practices. The night before the presentation, I was alone in the factory, running my hands over a mahogany table my grandfather had designed. "Help me save what you built," I whispered. The deal with Horizon Home changed everything. Within 18 months, we went from near bankruptcy to profitability. By the third year, we doubled our workforce and modernized our production facilities. I developed our signature heritage collection, which combined my grandfather's classic designs with contemporary materials. My father recovered gradually and returned to work part-time. He seemed proud of the changes publicly, but privately questioned some of my more progressive decisions. Lucas remained on the sidelines, only showing up for photo, ops, and client events, always trying to position himself as a key leader. By the 5th year, our annual revenue reached $20 million, and by the 10th year, we were debt-free and approaching $30 million in revenue. I'd sacrificed my personal life, but the results were undeniable. Oakwood Furniture had transformed from a struggling regional business to a national brand. With the domestic business booming, I started planning for international expansion. European and Asian markets showed great interest in our American-made sustainable furniture. I spent months researching potential partnerships and distribution channels. About 6 months ago, during a routine Monday meeting, my father casually mentioned that he and Lucas had lunch with our banker over the weekend. It was odd because I handled all our banking relationships. When I called the account manager later, he seemed evasive. Over the next few weeks, I noticed strange things. Lucas, who usually spent more time on the golf course, suddenly became interested in the company's operations. He started coming to the office more often, scheduling meetings with department heads and asking for financial reports. "I want to contribute more, sis," he said with that charming smile of his. My father also became increasingly evasive. I walked into his office twice to find him quickly ending phone calls. Meeting invitations that I usually received stopped showing up in my inbox. One day, as I approached my father's office, I overheard a snippet of conversation. Lucas was saying, "Restructuring the leadership makes sense before the international expansion. Annette has done well." But they went silent when I knocked. Inside, I found my father, Lucas, and Victor, the owner of our main competitor, Pinecrest Furniture. They looked like kids caught in a prank. My father quickly said, "Annette, we were just discussing industry trends." Victor was sharing some insights on the European market. Victor couldn't meet my eyes as he shook my hand. "Your father speaks highly of your achievements," he said. After Victor left, I asked what was going on. They assured me they were exploring all options for international expansion. But a cold feeling settled in my stomach. Our office manager, Linda, who had been with the company for 25 years, came to me after hours. "I probably shouldn't say anything," she said, "but I'm loyal to this company and your grandfather's memory. There are whispers that your father has been meeting with lawyers, and Lucas has been showing investors around without your knowledge." I started to dig deeper. I found out that my father had transferred a large portion of his shares to Lucas over the past year. Our company lawyer, Brian, became very evasive when I asked about upcoming contract renewals. I also noticed Lucas's new friendship with Victor. They were in social media photos together, captioning them with things like exciting new ventures in the furniture industry. I made a tough decision. I asked our IT director, Tom, who was very loyal to me, to install monitoring software on my office computer. I lied and said someone was accessing files without authorization. 3 weeks later, I stayed late at the office and found the damning evidence in my father's emails. They had been planning my removal as CEO for months. The plan was to announce Lucas as the new CEO at our upcoming 70th anniversary celebration, which coincided with the launch of my heritage collection. The emails detailed how they would present Lucas as the new visionary leader, while downplaying my 12-year contribution to the company. They even planned to offer me a buyout at a significantly lower price, stating that the company's success was mainly due to the Oakwood legacy rather than my leadership. I was devastated. But as I sat there in the dark, I realized that if they wanted to play this game, I could outmaneuver them. I started to plan my counterattack. I identified key employees who were loyal to me, like Sarah in marketing, Jake in product development, and Mia in sales. I had discreet conversations with them, asking about their career goals and loyalty to the company. Their responses confirmed that they would follow me if I left. I also reached out to our 3 largest clients, who together accounted for 40% of our revenue. I had lunch meetings with them, indirectly asking what they valued in our relationship. They all said they were with Oakwood because of me, my vision, and my commitment to sustainability. I analyzed our competitor, Pinecrest Furniture. Victor's company focused on traditional high-end furniture with little innovation. It was profitable but stagnant, appealing to an older demographic, which was exactly the direction my father wanted to take Oakwood. Financially, starting a new venture was a huge challenge. I decided to take out a personal loan against my house, a beautiful colonial I'd renovated over the years. As the anniversary celebration neared, my father and Lucas grew more confident. They tried to get me to sign some IP forms for the Heritage Collection, but I stalled. I also noticed Lucas practicing his acceptance speech in the showroom after hours. On the day of the celebration, I arrived 30 minutes late in my red gown, making a grand entrance. My father's face showed a flicker of concern when he saw me. My father took the stage first and talked about the company's history. Then he announced, "It is with great pride that I announce Lucas as the new CEO of Oakwood Furniture. He will lead us into a new era." The audacity of it all. They even presented my Heritage Collection as Lucas's brainchild. Lucas stepped up and started his rehearsed speech, claiming credit for my work. I maintained my composure and then took the stage. I congratulated Lucas and reminded the audience of the company's journey from the brink of bankruptcy to success. I emphasized that the Heritage Collection was my vision, and I was excited to continue innovating in the furniture industry. The applause I received was thunderous. That night, I left the event knowing that I was in control of the next move. The next day, when I went to the office, my things were packed in boxes, and Lucas's name was on my door. Linda, the office manager, handed me the termination papers with a sad look in her eyes. I signed them calmly, knowing that this was just the beginning of my new chapter. I quickly leased a former warehouse across town and filed incorporation papers for Oakwood Heritage. Soon, key employees started to join me. The news spread, and our major clients expressed their concerns about the changes at Oakwood Furniture. Pinecrest Furniture's Victor backed out of the partnership with Oakwood due to the negative press and the exodus of talent. Meanwhile, Oakwood Heritage secured a major contract with Horizon Home. Within 4 months, Oakwood Heritage had recruited 20 former Oakwood employees, signed contracts with 5 major retailers, and set up a state-of-the-art production facility. Our first collection received rave reviews at the industry trade show, while Lucas's version of the Heritage Collection was largely ignored. Quality issues started to surface at Oakwood Furniture under Lucas's leadership. Major clients canceled orders, and the company's stock value plummeted. 6 months after my dismissal, I stood on stage at the Furniture Design Awards, accepting the Innovation Excellence Trophy for Oakwood Heritage's debut collection. The standing ovation I received was a testament to my resilience and vision. One afternoon, my father came to my office. He looked old and defeated. "Oakwood Furniture is in trouble," he said. "Lucas is in over his head, and the bank is threatening to call in our loans." He then admitted, "I made a terrible mistake. I was wrong about Lucas and wrong about you." I asked him what influenced his decision, and he said it was old-fashioned thinking, pressure from some clients, and maybe a bit of jealousy that I had transformed what he thought was his legacy. I told him I wouldn't go back to Oakwood, but I might consider a limited collaboration. We discussed terms, and I made it clear it would be a strictly business arrangement. 18 months later, I was the primary investor behind a buy-out offer for Oakwood Furniture. I bought the Oakwood name and the original factory at a fraction of its value during my tenure. I reunited the Oakwood legacy under my vision, and my father took on a ceremonial role as a heritage ambassador. Today, as I sit in my office overlooking the production floor of what is now simply Oakwood, I can see my grandfather's old workbench in the lobby. I've learned that true family businesses are built on merit and trust, not just blood. I refuse to let betrayal define my future or the future of the company. If my story can give you hope, I'll be glad. Because sometimes the most painful betrayals lead to the most powerful transformations.